I haven't had a sense of exploration and a desire to hunt high tier loot in a game in a very long time since I quit Tarkov about 3 years ago. I'm also not a fan of zombies or the survival MMO genre as a whole, but there's something about SurrounDead that has me absolutely obsessed. I found this game by chance and I can't put it down. The game gives you a heightened sense of accomplishment that you don't really experience in a lot of other games in the genre. Every resource that you find, every can of food, scrap of ammo, it feels earned. You don't just stumble into safety, you fight tooth and nail for it. Crafting your gear, fortifying a safe house, or making it back from a loot run, it all carries weight because nothing is handed to you. In this video, I'm exploring the city of Westgrove on the western portion of the map. My objective of this raid, now that I'm a little bit more comfortable with the equipment I have, is to improve the tier quality of the loot that I have, to defeat the area's boss, and to find the secure container hidden within the city. Because I'm unfamiliar with the area, this is my first time exploring it, I take a more cautious approach when entering the city. I'm not using any form of external resource like an interactive map or a guide. I'm going into these raids blind to see what I can find by myself. The more residential areas that I first explore have pretty common items in there. I mostly look for things like batteries so that I could charge my NVGs or my flashlights. Something that I found out fairly early into the game is that if you want to loot faster, you can hold shift. However, your character can make a mistake and they can make a loud noise when looting, and that will attract zombies. I'm at about the 10-day mark in this playthrough, so I have a little bit of resources by now, and I'm not heavily relying on melee weapons like I was before. I have a little bit more freedom of movement now that I can use suppressed weapons and I have enough ammunition. And that freedom was rewarded through my patience of using the melee weapons for so long early on in the playthrough. I try to be as quick and deliberate as possible with my looting so that I can move on to my objective, because if I spend too much time looting, then we're going to get into that day-night cycle. It's going to get dark soon, and then it's going to come with the danger of what happens at night. Items you should be looking for when looting the zombie bodies are things like this lockpick right here. Also cell phones, things that go for like $15, $20. That money really adds up in the early game and allows you the freedom to go and buy more items and credits, which you'll be able to use later on. As you can see right there, I got 2 lockpicks from 2 engagements, and those are going to come in handy later on in the video. There wasn't really anything of importance in that house, so we're going to continue on throughout the city and see what else that we can find. Here we approach a supermarket. There's tons of consumable items that you can find. Just be aware, if you find stuff that's in cans, you're going to need a can opener in order to consume those items. We got lucky. We found some water. I have some jugs already, so I'm just going to stack them. Make sure you read the description of the items, because sometimes it'll say dirty water, and if it's dirty water, you're going to need to use water purification tablets, which are a medical item. I'm constantly aware of the amount of ammo I have. I like to run the drum mags. I only have 1 drum currently for the M4, so that's why I use that additional 30 round mag in case I need to swap really quickly. Be careful though, sometimes if you don't have enough space, your magazine will fall on the floor and you'd have to look for it to pick it up. Because I fired a couple of shots inside of the supermarket, I'm starting to draw the attention of the locals, so they're coming to say hi. When you're looting and you come across a weapon, I highly recommend picking them up. Even if you don't think that you're going to use it, you can always sell it later on. And if you run out of space, highly recommend paying attention to the price of the weapons. Always keep the ones that are worth more. Finding food and water and weapons is always good, but it's not the high tier loot that we're looking for. For that, we're going to have to find the boss, and we're going to have to find the secure container hidden within the area. My assumption is that high tier loot is going to be somewhere that's more secure. Think somewhere like a bank vault or a jail. So that's what we're going to go look for. After packing some magazines and doing some inventory management, I decided to explore this green building. I go upstairs to look through the fridge, and in the fridge I find some alcohol. I highly recommend picking up alcohol every single time that you find it. You can sell the alcohol for a little bit of money to traders. I heard a growl coming from outside that's typically associated with bosses in the game. At this point, I know I have to prepare for this engagement. Zombie bosses typically have a lot of HP. In order to be more combat efficient against the boss, I'm going to switch my weapon from my G18 over to my Desert Eagle. It uses 50 BMG ammo, which does a ton of damage. It's limited to 6 shots, but you don't have a magazine, you just reload it automatically. I really wanted to try out my M2010 sniper rifle, but unfortunately I didn't have enough ammo at the time, so I went with the Desert Eagle instead. The Glock 18 that I had equipped is a really good gun. I like it a lot. However, it just doesn't have that stopping power that the Desert Eagle has. After all my preparations, I head outside. I'm always looking for the tactical advantage, and I know that zombies can't climb certain vehicles. There are some exceptions to this. Sometimes they'll even glitch on top, but I got lucky right here. The Western monster couldn't climb on top of this ambulance. Now I'm going to take advantage of him being stuck right here and using that 50 cal to get as many headshots as possible in order to deal maximum damage. In order to conserve that 50 BMG ammo, which I probably should have done earlier, I switched weapons. But since the Desert Eagle is so loud, I attracted all these zombies. Fortunately for me, I'm on top of this ambulance and they can't climb, so I have as much time in the world to do whatever I want. I could even set a sleeping mat down right here and go to sleep if I wanted to. In order to clear out the remaining zombies, I decided to go back to that G18. Yes, the 9mm ammo is not as powerful as some of the other rounds that I have, but I have an abundance of this ammo, so I decided to just go with the 9mm. As you can tell, something that I have to consider is that the sun is starting to set. With my current kit and night vision, I'm pretty formidable in the dark. However, there's always those uncertainties that come with nightfall. Also, knowing that nightfall is coming, I decided to clear out as many locals as possible. Now that I'm comfortable with the amount of zombies that I clear, I decided that it's time to loot the boss. Man, not gonna lie, the loot was pretty underwhelming. I got some credits, I got a magazine for my sniper rifle, I got some money and some batteries, which are definitely handy. But, I mean, there wasn't really anything, that really stood out or anything that was exceptional in my opinion. So now we have to go and continue on through the city, trying to find that secure military container. So it's nightfall now, and I found my way over to a gun store. The door was locked, so we had to break into it. That took way longer than it should have. This was definitely one of the better stores in the city, as there are multiple gun display cases, which have a lot of different weapons and attachments, and also ammo. One thing I like about SurrounDead is that there's not a weight limit with your inventory, so you can just stack cases inside of bags, inside of more bags, inside of more cases to really expand your inventory. This is especially beneficial early on in the game because you're trying to make as much money as possible fast so that you can get access to those better items. Once you get the larger Coyote backpacks, the Alice packs, the weapons cases, the secure containers and things like that really expand your inventory, it really opens up the amount of items that you can carry, and it's also beneficial for organizing your stuff. I like to know where items are at in my inventory, so I keep like things together. So all the medical supplies go into the medicine bag, all of the ammo goes into the ammo can, all the weapons go into the weapons cases. I have some stuff for hunting, for food, and other like items like that. So the gun store was a pretty decent find. There wasn't anything too spectacular, but we got a lot of attachments. We got some ammo. That's very important. That's probably the best thing that we got out of this was the ammo. After the gun store, I spent a little bit of time going through some more of the houses in the area and fighting off a couple of zombies. After surviving the night, I made it into day 2 of the raid, still looking for that secret container. An airdrop recently came through the area, so I went to go explore the drop sites. Just like the boss fight earlier, this airdrop was a little bit underwhelming, but we still got ammo. Luckily for me, there was a food airdrop to the east and a medical airdrop to the northwest. I decided to go explore both of those as well. The fear of missing out, or FOMO, in this game is definitely real. If you exit out of the game for whatever reason, if you take a break or you're done for the night and you get back on, those airdrops are going to be gone. I definitely wanted to check those out before going to the secret container because the secret container is always going to be there. I made it to the food airdrop, and this was one of the best airdrops that I've had in the game so far. I got another large coyote backpack, which is massive, so I'm going to do some inventory management to stack backpacks, and then I also got a generator, which comes in clutch for base building, a lot of gasoline for the generators, more water, and like I said earlier, you have those whiskey bottles or the alcohol. That's worth a lot of money, and then some MREs, which are, in my opinion, the best food in the game. It was definitely worth exploring. On my way back, I came across an abandoned camp, so I decided to loot that. By the time I made it back to the city, night had finally fallen. I'm not wearing my NVGs here because it's fairly bright outside. I do use the flashlight just to help out a little bit. The military NVGs that I have require 8 batteries, and that's a lot, so I like to conserve the battery life on them, and I won't use them unless I absolutely have to if it's like pitch black outside. I made it into a building that I haven't explored yet, and I'm thinking this might be the one. Found some pretty decent medical items, but still nothing significant so far. I noticed a set of stairs in the corner, and that's definitely a good sign. These bars look like it's very secure, and sure enough, there is a vault door. It looks like we finally found it. The high tier loot crate that I found was definitely worth it. We had 3 legendary items, one of which went to my Glock, so I was pretty happy about that. The red dot sight is an attachment that I can use for it. I also got a purple plate carrier, which I can get a decent amount of money for. Looking around the rest of the room, there was a briefcase on the table, and as you can see from the description, it says key cards. We had 2 purple key cards, a level. Key cards are necessary for accessing high tier areas that you can find throughout the map, similar to labs in Escape from Tarkov. Nothing really good inside of the cache, just some things that I can make some quick money off of, but not the high tier loot that we were hoping for. Now that we successfully completed both objectives of eliminating the boss in the area and finding the secret container, it's time to go see what's inside of that other airdrop. I spoke about battery conservation in my MVGs earlier, and as you can hear in the background, there's birds chirping, which means that it's morning time. So I spent a lot of time running towards this airdrop with my nods on. Definitely don't recommend doing that. So if you hear the birds, take your night vision off. If you've played SurrounDead, let me know what you think about it down in the comments. It's pretty amazing how this is only made by one person. I mean, this is honestly a fairly decent pull for the medical airdrop. We got some large med kits, a flare gun, and then some water purification tablets. Nothing to get excited over. I learned a lot about this raid, especially about preparation when entering POIs. I feel like it's going to set me up for success as we enter into our next objective, the port. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, make sure to hit that subscribe button and also drop a like on the video. I've been Riv. Thanks for watching.